I'm in the kitchen at 2 in the morning, staring at the smart home display I installed last month. The cameras cycle through empty rooms hallway. Living room. Garage. Front porch. Everything looks normal. Which is exactly why I keep watching. Normal has become a costume in this house. Rachel thinks I'm just in another tech phase. She jokes about my gadgets like they're harmless toys. She doesn't know how long I've been awake at night. She doesn't know I've been documenting everything. When you stop trusting someone, sleep stops feeling safe. So I track patterns instead of dreams. The front door opens with the soft chime I programmed. The camera catches her stepping inside, heels unsteady. Laugh, lingering from a phone call outside. That laugh used to be for me. Now it sounds like it belongs to someone else's life. She doesn't see me at first. The kitchen lights are off. Only my tablet throws blue light across the counter. She assumes I'm asleep upstairs. I used to be. Back when I didn't lie awake listening for the door. Baby, she calls. Sugary and careful. You awake? I let the silence sit. Not to be dramatic. Just to let her feel what I've been feeling, uncertainty. Then she walks in and freezes when she sees me. Surprise flashes over her face. Then the smile returns. Rachel is still beautiful at 39. Still the kind of woman who turns heads without trying. Auburn hair. Green dress. That bright presence she carries like a spotlight. Beauty is easy to admire until you realize it can hide a lot. There you are, she says, sliding onto a stool across from me. Her purse hits the granite softly. You're up late. Couldn't sleep. I answer. My voice stays steady. Calm is something I learned long before marriage. How was girls' night, I ask. Her smile widens in that way. I've learned to watch closely. The glint in her eyes says she's about to push another boundary. Lately, she's been doing it more and more, like she's testing how far she can go. Actually, she says, leaning forward, I need to talk to you. Here comes the setup. I've been thinking about us. She continues. About our relationship. And I think we need more honesty. The word honesty lands wrong. People don't announce honesty unless they're preparing to wound you. I don't speak. She takes that as permission. I spent tonight with Ethan. The name hits me like a small current. Ethan Cross, her college ex. Money. Confidence. The kind of man who looks polished even in photos that aren't meant to be seen. She's mentioned him occasionally over the years, like he was history. Apparently, history walked back in. Okay, I say. She blinks. She expected anger. Maybe fear. Something that would make this feel like a real confession. Jack, she says slowly. I spent the night with Ethan. I heard you. Her confidence flickers. We talked about old times, she says, and I realize something about what I need. I close the tablet and face her fully. What do you need? Rachel, she inhales, like she's stepping onto a stage. Freedom, she says, to explore connections honestly. I want to spend weekends with him sometimes. Not to hurt you, just to be true to myself. There's a long pause. 15 years together. And now she's telling me she wants an open marriage with a countdown already started. She's not asking. She's telling me, expecting me to adjust. I look at her and keep my face still. Inside, something settles, not panic. Not rage. Clarity. Rachel, I say. She lifts her chin, ready to label me jealous or controlling if I resist. She wants me to be the villain, so her story stays clean. You're absolutely right. Her eyes widen. I am. You are. I say evenly. We do need more honesty. Relief spreads across her face. She thinks she won. She thinks I'm still the man who stays quiet, absorbs the blow, and makes it easy for her to keep walking. I'm so glad you understand, she says. I was afraid you'd be possessive. Not at all. I stand up, stretch casually. In fact, I think this honesty thing is what we needed. I lean over and kiss her forehead. Her perfume mixes with wine and something sharper I don't bother naming. She closes her eyes like I just gave her permission to breathe. I'm going to grab some things from the workshop. I say, head out early tomorrow. Work project on Saturday. She nods, distracted by her own victory. At the doorway, I pause. Enjoy your weekend with Ethan. Her smile falters for half a second. She can't tell what changed, but she feels it. Where are you going, she asks. Honestly, not sure yet. I answer, don't worry about me. Focus on your truth. Then I walk downstairs to my basement workshop. Down here isn't a man cave. It's a command center: tools, boards, equipment from years of military engineering, and a decade building security systems for people who fear what they can't see. This room reminds me who I am when I'm not playing the part she's written for me. I sit at my desk and open my laptop. When I focus on a problem, I solve it completely. And tonight, Rachel handed me the problem in plain language. My basement workshop smells like solder and old wood. Everyone calls it my man cave. Rachel says it like a joke. Like this room is just where I hide from responsibility. The truth is simpler: it's the only place in the house that still feels honest. No staged smiles. No rehearsed conversations. No soft lighting meant to blur the edges of reality. Just tools. Wires. And the kind of order that comes from dealing with systems that either work or don't. I sit down in front of my laptop and wake the screen. The time reads 2:47 a.m. Upstairs. Rachel is probably still in the kitchen, still riding the high of a confession she thinks went her way. She believes she just redesigned our marriage and handed me the blueprint. She thinks I nodded because I was too scared to disagree. She doesn't know. Fear isn't what keeps me quiet. I open a folder labeled Maintenance Logs. That's what I named it weeks ago when the first doubt came creeping in. Neutral titel, clean structure. The same way I used to label things overseas. If you're going to collect data, you don't name it like a revenge fantasy. You name it like an engineer. First, I access the home security server. Rachel thinks the cameras are for burglary protection. She doesn't know I activated audio in common areas. She doesn't know about the backup drive hidden behind a false panel in the workshop wall. Quietly copying everything to my private server. She assumed I built this house for comfort. I built it for clarity. I download the last month of footage and skim through it at double speed. Video is boring until it isn't. A lot of quiet mornings. A lot of normal evenings. And then there are the gaps, timestamps, where the front door opens while I'm allegedly at work, and closes again 2 hours later. The back door sometimes. The garage once. Small movements that don't belong in a loyal marriage. I stop on last Tuesday. Rachel is in our bedroom. Sitting on the edge of the bed, phone pressed to her ear. Her voice is lower than usual. Playful in a way she hasn't used with me in a long time. I turn up the volume. He has no idea. Jade, she says. She laughs. Jack's so focused on his little toys, he wouldn't notice if I brought Ethan home. There's laughter on the other end of the line. Not kind laughter. Not nervous laughter. The relaxed laughter of people who assume they're safe. She keeps talking. And each sentence feels like another door in my brain locking shut. I know I should feel guilty, she says. But I feel more alive than I have in years. Ethan reminds me who I was before I settled for predictable. Predictable. She uses it like a diagnosis. I mean, Jack's a great provider. She continues. But, you know, same routine, same conversations, same everything. I pause the footage and sit back. That version of Rachel, the one speaking into her phone without a hint of hesitation, is the real confession. Not the one she gave me in the kitchen. That confession was a performance aimed at control. This one is aimed at pleasure. The difference matters. I save the clip in a new folder Tuesday. Call. Evidence for later. Not for a screaming fight. Evidence for a clean ending. My phone buzzes on the desk. Simon and I serve together. Not in the romantic version people tell over beers, but in the blunt version where you learn who you are when the world is loud, hot, and unpredictable. He runs a private security firm now. He's the kind of man who doesn't panic when something turns ugly. The kind of man who knows legality is a border you don't cross. You awake, his text reads. Murphy's. I stare at it. Murphy's is a bar. Half the town calls a second home. Simon goes there when he wants quiet company. I type back rain check. Starting a new project tonight. Might need your expertise soon. A second later, Roger, that, you know where to find me. I set the phone down and keep working. I pull up the home system dashboard and export door logs. Sensor triggers. And motion alerts for the last 4 weeks. The patterns line up too neatly to be accidents. A silver Maserati has been in our driveway on weekday afternoons. It never stays long enough to draw a parking ticket, long enough to draw a line through my trust. Though, next, I access Rachel's side of the shared cloud account. She's careless with technology. She always has been. She once joked that I handle the tech stuff because I'm better at it. She never considered that being better at it also means seeing what's hidden in it. Her phone automatically backs up photos. I scroll slowly. There's nothing explicit. I don't need it. There are selfies in restaurant bathrooms. Wine glasses clinking. A man's hand on the edge of a table. I recognize the watch on that wrist from one of Ethan's public posts. Little breadcrumbs she didn't bother to hide because she assumed no one was looking. I open her recent messages. The names are a countdown. Ethan. Of course. Plans for weekends. Private jokes. The kind of easy tone two people use when they think the world will rearrange around them. Jade. Her best friend. The person Rachel unloads her real thoughts onto. The one I now realize has been holding the ladder while Rachel climbs out of this marriage. Oliver. The guy from her office who always seems to show up at parties. Friendly on the surface. Eager in the background. I read enough to understand the shape of it. Not the details. I'm not rubbernecking. I'm mapping a structure. A whole support network helping her justify betrayal by calling it growth. One message from Rachel to Jade stands out. Jack's so clueless. She says, I could probably bring Ethan to our anniversary dinner and he'd just ask about his business. I don't flinch. I screenshot. I email the screenshots to myself from her device. Then I delete the sent item so she won't notice. She thinks she's the one moving in secret. She doesn't realize I've been here for weeks. By dawn, the workshop windows look gray instead of black. Upstairs, Rachel is snoring softly in our bed, still wearing that green dress. I go up quietly, not because I'm afraid of waking her, but because there's no point in conversation now. Conversation is what she uses to steer the story. I'm done being steered. Her phone is on the nightstand. Unlocked. I finish gathering what I need. Then I take a sheet of kitchen stationery and write a single note in my neat, calm handwriting. Nothing dramatic. No speeches. Just a line she'll read 10 times looking for meaning she already missed. Thanks for the clarity. I leave it on the counter where she'll see it when she wakes. Then I pack a bag, grab my laptop, and load a case of extra equipment into the truck. Before I pull out of the driveway, I activate vacation mode on the house. It's a feature Rachel used to find fun. Lights on timers, doors logged, every motion recorded. If she wants honesty, she's about to get more than she planned for. My phone buzzes as I roll down the street. Rachel, calling. I let it go to voicemail. I don't need to hear her voice yet. I already heard the one that mattered. By Saturday morning, the plan is no longer a sketch in my head. It has weight. It has steps. Not because I'm chasing drama, but because Rachel forced everything into the open and expected me to pretend it was progress. She wanted honesty without cost, freedom without consequences. I'm going to give her honesty the way the real world gives it in full daylight. In front of witnesses. With no room to rewrite the story later, rain starts before dawn. Steady and cold. The Millfield Community Festival doesn't stop for weather. It happens every year. No matter what. Because half the town needs an excuse to gather, and the other half needs an audience. Families in ponchos. Teenagers huddled under tents. Old couples walking slowly with coffee in their hands. A small-town ritual. Rachel loves this festival. It makes her feel like we live in something wholesome. Like community is a shield you can hide behind. She posted about coming early this morning, new beginnings. Living authentically. She tagged Ethan. She believes I'm at home nursing my wounds in silence. Simon picks me up at 7. He hands me coffee, and that manila envelope, he doesn't say much. He doesn't have to. The weight of that envelope is enough. You got everything I ask. Better than everything. He says, showing me his tablet. On the screen, Ethan's silver Maserati pulls into my driveway yesterday afternoon. Rachel runs out to greet him. Not cautious. Not surprised. She looks eager. Confident. Like the house belongs to her plans. They go inside. 3 hours later, the car leaves. The timestamps are clear. The angles are clean. Neighbors saw him. Simonats. Mrs. Penn was gardening. Johnsons were outside. Half your street was watching without meaning to. Small towns don't need a courtroom to decide a story. They need to see something once and hear it twice. By 9, we're at the park. The festival is already crowded. Booths line the path like a friendly maze. The stage by the pavilion is setting up for the morning band. The craft beer tent is busy. The air smells like wet grass and sugar. Simon sets his camera gear near the pavilion. Looking like any other guy documenting local life, I carry my backpack with the laptop and portable printer tucked inside. Nothing illegal. Nothing theatrical. We're not inventing anything. We're just preparing to stop hiding it. There, Simon says, nodding. Rachel and Ethan stand near the beer tent with Jade and Oliver. Rachel wears a sundress against the gray sky. The way she does when she wants people to notice her. Ethan has his arm around her waist. Casual and possessive. They look comfortable together. Like this isn't new at all. Like they've been rehearsing this in secret for weeks. I don't rush. If you move too fast, people think you're the unstable one. Calm turns attention in your favor. That's when Mrs. Penn appears beside us. Umbrella tilted just so. She's 70. Sharp-eyed. And polite in a way that still manages to cut through anything fake. Jack. Dear, she says, I didn't expect to see you here after yesterday's excitement. Excitement, I ask. She nods toward the beer tent. That young man's car was at your house a long while yesterday. Quite a bit of coming and going lately. She isn't whispering. She never whispers. She means no harm. She means truth. 2 people nearby turn their heads toward us. The Hendersons. I think. Their eyes shift from curiosity to interest. Oh. That. I say, loud enough to be heard, but soft enough to sound normal. Rachel's exploring new relationships. She believes in honesty and authenticity. Mrs. Penn's eyes widen. Oh my. Yes. I continue. Steady. She's been very open about her needs. I admire her courage. The Hendersons stare for a second too long. I can see the story forming in their faces. Already preparing to travel, Simon walks up with a funnel cake and a look that says he's ready. Time. He mutters. I nod and head for the tent. Rachel sees me coming. Her face flickers surprise. Then guilt. Then that public smile she's perfected. She's a professional at sounding calm while moving a narrative behind the scenes. Jack, she says brightly, I didn't know you were coming. Wouldn't miss it. I reply. Community events are important. Ethan stiffens. He pretends to relax. But his eyes are scanning me like I'm a problem he didn't expect. I extend my hand. Ethan. Right. We met briefly last night. He shakes it reluctantly. Firm grip. Nerveux pulse. Right. He says, Rachel's told me so much about you. I add politely. Old friends reconnecting. Living authentically. It's beautiful. Really. Jade and Oliver exchange a glance. They can feel something wrong but can't name it yet. Jack's been very supportive of my personal growth. Rachel says carefully. Absolutely. I say. Marriage is about supporting each other's truth, even when it's uncomfortable. I pull out my phone slowly, like a man about to show vacation photos. I open the gallery. I've been documenting Rachel's journey. I say, "Would you like to see?" Jack. No. Rachel cuts in too fast. But I'm already turning the screen toward Jade. The first image is Rachel's own Instagram post from 2 days ago, wine glass lifted. Caption about breaking rules to find yourself. I read it calmly, as if quoting a brochure. Such inspiring work. I say, she's really embracing who she is. People nearby drift closer. The air thickens in that way it does before a storm. Maybe we should talk privately. Rachel says, voice tight now. Why, I ask? You said you wanted honesty. I raise my voice just enough to carry. Everyone, I'd like you to meet my wife, Rachel, and her boyfriend, Ethan. They're showing what modern marriage looks like when people are brave enough to live their truth. Silence drops. Heads turn. Phones come out. Rachel's face goes pale, then red. Ethan takes a step back like the ground shifted. Jack. Stop. She hisses. Stop supporting what you asked for. I keep my tone mild. Stop admiring your honesty. I reach into the manila envelope and pull out a printed photo. Ethan's car in my driveway. Time, stamped bold at the bottom. I hold it up so anyone watching can read it. Yesterday afternoon, I say evenly, 3 hours. Rachel grabs for it. I lift it out of reach. There are more. I add, weeks worth. Ethan finally snaps. You're out of your mind. No. I say, I'm thorough. I look at the crowd. The problem is Rachel wanted a new life while keeping the old reputation untouched. The solution is transparency. I gesture softly around us, letting the town do what towns do. How many of you have seen his car on our street lately? Hands rise. How many wondered what Rachel meant online by new beginnings? More hands. Well, I say quietly. Now you know. Then I step back and walk away with Simon. Behind us, the park starts to murmur. Texts already flying. The truth is loose now. And in Millfield, loose truth moves fast. Sunday morning brings the same cold rain. But the town feels different now. Yesterday wasn't a fight between two spouses anymore. It was a story released into public air. And in Millfield, once a story is out, it doesn't go back into the bottle. I'm parked across the street from Rachel's office before most people are even awake. Through the glass doors, I can see her moving back and forth behind reception, phone pressed to her ear, shoulders stiff, trying to hold herself together. She's already working the phones, already trying to steer the narrative back into something she can manage. My own phone won't stop vibrating. Neighbors, friends, relatives, people I haven't heard from in years. Everyone wants to ask what happened, even though they watched it happen. I ignore every call except the one voicemail that matters. Jack, this is Janet Morrison. Rachel's boss says. Her voice is polite and tight. I need to talk to you about Friday's email and the situation this weekend. I call her back immediately. If I'm doing honesty, I'm doing it clean. Janet, this is Jack. A pause. Then she goes straight to it. Did Rachel actually send that sick day email on Friday? No. I say, I did. Silence. Not angry silence. The kind where someone is recalculating. And what's being discussed online, she asks. All true. I answer. Rachel's been seeing Ethan Cross for weeks. She told me Thursday night she planned to spend weekends with him. Janet breathes out slowly. I want to be clear. I add, calm and direct. Her personal life is her choice. But she used company time and resources to coordinate this. I have documentation. Another short pause. Send me whatever you have. Janet says, Rachel's position requires public trust. If this becomes a liability, we need facts. You'll have them within the hour. I hang up and open my laptop. I don't write a rant. I send a timeline, screenshots from her work device. Meeting schedules that match Ethan's visits. Message during business hours, everything labeled by date. With timestamps visible, no commentary, no emotion, just the record she assumed nobody would ever see. While the files upload, I watch her through the window. She's still calling people, walking in tight circles. She thinks speed will save her. She thinks if she talks first and loudest, she can rebuild a wall before the rain gets in. She doesn't realize the wall already fell. Simon pulls up beside me a few minutes later and climbs into the truck. Phase 4, he asks. Phase 4, I say, and hit send on Janet's email. We drive across town to Ethan's condo complex. Gated, polished, landscape to look effortless. His Maserati is in its assigned spot like it belongs there. Lights glow in the third-floor unit Simon found earlier. Nice place. Simon Mutters. Family money. I reply. His business didn't survive last year. The trust fund did. People like that think consequences are for other people. Simon says, not today. I call Ethan. He picks up fast, voice already sharp. What do you want now? I'm giving you a chance to do the right thing. I say, end this. Leave town. Stop contacting Rachel. He laughs once. Bitter. You can't ruin my life because you can't satisfy your wife. There's a beat of quiet after he says it. Even he seems to feel the mistake. Ethan. I say slowly. That was the wrong line to cross. What's that supposed to mean? It means you just made this personal instead of practical. I hang up. Simon studiesme. Plans changing. Yes. I say, this isn't about protecting my marriage anymore. It's about consequences. We spend the next hour making sure truth reaches the people who need it. First, I post in local neighborhood groups calm, factual, with photos of Ethan's car and clean timestamps. No insults, no threats, just context. The town reacts instantly. People don't like realizing they were background props to someone else's secret. Come on, pour in support for me. Anger at them. And plenty of I saw that too. Next, we look at Ethan's business circle, public partners, public clients. I send anonymous. Well-documented reports again. No emotion, no exaggeration. Just the pattern of behavior he thought would stay hidden. Reputation is fragile. When it's built on appearing respectable, then I open the condo management system. It's one of my company's installations. I have legal maintenance access. And I follow protocol. Ethan's been using guest parking illegally for weeks. Repeated violations, trigger fines, and hearings. I log the records and forward them to management. Nothing fake, nothing personal. Just the rules applied to someone who assumed rules couldn't touch him. As we're leaving, my phone rings. Rachel. I answer. Jack. She says, voice shaking. You have to stop. Stop what? Janet fired me. A breath catches. She said I'm a liability. That's unfortunate. Unfortunate. Her voice spikes into anger. I need that job. We need my income. You should have thought about that before risking your position for Ethan. This is insane. She says, you're destroying both our lives. I'm not destroying anything. I answer flatly. I'm removing the safety nets you used while betraying me. Silence again. Then her voice drops. What do you want? What will it take for you to stop? I don't hesitate. I want you to feel the full consequences of what you chose. I say, no husband covering for you. No friends shaping the story. No comfort you didn't earn. And then, what she whispers, then we'll see who you are without all of that. I end the call. Simon looks at me like he's measuring the temperature of the room we just lit on fire. This is getting heavy. He says, it should be. I reply, she tried to live two lives and keep me as the foundation for both. That option is gone. By the time we drive back toward town, the story is everywhere. Group chats, office whispers, family calls. Yesterday was exposure. Today is impact. And impact doesn't stop just because someone starts to regret the fall. Monday morning is cold enough to make the world feel stripped down. Rain falls in a steady sheet over the courthouse parking lot, turning everything gray and flat. I'm sitting in my truck with Simon beside me, watching Ethan pace under the covered entrance. He's on the phone, gesturing too much. The posture of a man who still thinks he can talk his way out of gravity. There's Rachel. Simon says. She pulls into the lot like someone moving through wet cement. No polished dress. No careful hair. No confident walk. Jeans. Sneakers. A wrinkled sweater. She looks smaller than I've ever seen her. Like the last 2 days hollowed something out. Phase 5, Simon asks. Phase 5. We get out and walk toward the entrance. Rachel sees me and stops. Ethan ends his call. Turns. And his face tightens. This is harassment. He says immediately, I'm filing a restraining order. On what grounds, I ask? You've been stalking me, threatening my business, ruining my life. I take out my phone and open the recorder. Calm. Deliberate. Say that again. I tell him, I'd like it documented. He hesitates. People who rely on noise don't like records. I exposed your affair. I say evenly. I shared factual information about your conduct. If your reputation can't survive truth, that's not something I'm responsible for. Rachel steps between us, her voice breaking before she finishes the first sentence. Jack, please. This has gone far enough. Has it, I ask, because you're both still trying to control the story instead of owning it. She swallows hard. What do you want? I've been waiting for her to ask that without a script behind it. I want you to understand what you threw away. I say quietly. For 15 years, I gave you stability, trust, and a life you didn't have to be afraid of losing. I worked myself tired to keep it standing. When you decided you wanted something else, you didn't end this honestly. You lied for months and used our marriage as cover while you built another life. Tears track down her cheeks. She doesn't wipe them. I never meant to hurt you. She whispers. You meant to keep me as a safety net. I answer. The hurt was the cost you were willing to pay. Ethan cuts in. This is between you two. No, I say, turning to him. You made it between all of us when you decided my wife was available. I step close enough for him to feel the difference. He leans back before he realizes it. You checked me first. Didn't you, I ask? Quiet husband. Routine life. Safe. The kind who wouldn't fight. He doesn't answer. He doesn't need to. It's written all over him. You were wrong. I say, I'm not safe. I'm controlled. And you destroyed that control. Rachel flinches, like she's hearing a stranger inside my voice. I pull a manila envelope from my jacket and hand it to her. Divorce papers. I say, filed this morning. No fault. Full disclosure of marital assets used during the affair. Her hands shake as she opens it, scans the first page, and pales. You're moving out. I add, the house is in my name, bought before we married. You have 30 days. Jack, you can't, she says, barely breathing. I can. I checked with lawyers. Everything here is legal. Ethan steps forward, anger rising through fear. You can't leave her with nothing. I'm leaving her with what she chose. I say, her belongings, her next decisions. The rest was built while she was borrowing my trust. He opens his mouth to argue again, then freezes when I look straight at him. And your trust fund has been frozen, I say. His face empties. That's impossible. It isn't. Your family was given accurate information about your recent behavior. Families like yours protect their name and their money. They acted. You did that. I didn't break any laws. I answer. I made sure the truth reached people who needed it. Rachel stares down at the papers. Voice thin now. This will ruin me. It will leave you with exactly what you brought to this marriage. I say, and the consequences of what you did with it. For a moment, none of us speak. Rain fills the silence like static. Then Ethan tries one last angle. Softer. What if I leave town and she comes back to you, he asks. Can we fix this? A short laugh slips out of me before I can stop it. You think I want her back after months of planning and lying, I ask. You can keep each other? You already destroyed the version of her I trusted. Rachel makes a sound like she's been struck. I turn back toward my truck. Jack. Wait. She calls after me. You made a terrible mistake. I want to come home. I look at her once more. Not with anger. Not with satisfaction. With something flat and final. When I was unhappy, I say, I worked to fix us. When you were unhappy, you replaced us. You don't repair that by asking to walk back in after the fire. She reaches for words and finds none. You wanted radical honesty. I add, this is what it costs. I get into my truck and drive away, leaving them standing in the rain with the life they chose. 3 weeks later, I'm at Murphy's on a Friday night. The local news runs a story about a financial investigation hitting several families. Ethan's name shows up on screen like an afterthought that still stings him. Simon sits beside me. Mike, the bartender, refills my beer without asking. You holding up, he asks. I'm fine. I say, things just got honest. Oliver comes in later, stiff and uneasy. He apologizes for helping Rachel manage her lies. I let him finish. Then tell him one simple thing. When someone asks you to help them deceive their spouse, I say, the answer should be no. He nods, leaves quieter than he arrived. Mrs. Penn drops by. Rare for her. She tells me Rachel stopped there earlier, asking if I'd been bringing anyone around. Mrs. Penn told her it wasn't her business anymore. Small towns, remember? She says, stirring her coffee. That night, Rachel texts me she wants to talk. Infidelity. Ethan comes to the bar too, looking worn down, asking for a deal, promising to disappear if I stop destroying him. I'm not destroying you. I tell him, I'm letting you live inside your choices. He doesn't like that, but he has nowhere else to put it. When I go home, the house is quiet in a way it hasn't been for months. I pour a whiskey and sit in my workshop. The tools around me are simple proof of reality things that work the way they are built to work. Rachel calls one last time. I answer once, because endings deserve clarity. I want to come home. She says, I was wrong. This isn't your home anymore. I tell her, I can fix it. You can't fix what you chose to break. I say, you can only live with what it costs. She cries. She apologizes. She explains. I listen until the words run out. Then I say what is left. You didn't make one mistake. Rachel, you made months of choices. I hang up and turn off the phone. Outside, rain keeps falling. Indifferent and steady. It doesn't care about regrets. It just washes the ground clean and makes room for what comes next. Tomorrow, I start building a life that doesn't rely on pretending. Tonight, I'm done living inside someone else's fiction. Thank you for listening to today's stories. If you enjoyed listening, please like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Also, leave a comment below to share your thoughts on what happened. Take care.